there is a place deep within you, a place you may have been avoiding, a shadowy realm where the hidden parts of yourself lie dormant, shrouded in mystery. What would happen if you dared to confront this darkness? Would it consume you, or would it unlock a world of untapped potential? The shadow is not just a symbol of evil or darkness. It is a reflection of your deepest fears, desires, and untapped power. To know your true self, you must first confront what lies beneath the surface. But what if this darkness is not an enemy, but a misunderstood ally? Could the parts of you that you have rejected hold the key to your spiritual growth? This journey into the shadow self is not one to be taken lightly, but it is a path that holds the promise of profound transformation. The teachings of Jung, Taoism, Buddhism, Hermeticism, and Gnosticism all emphasize the importance of embracing this hidden realm to achieve spiritual wholeness. Imagine standing before a mirror. What do you see? Your reflection, of course, but is it the whole truth? What about the parts of you that hide in the corners of your mind, those pieces you avoid or refuse to acknowledge? What if the darkness inside you is not something to fear, but something to embrace? In the reflection, there is a shadow, a distortion of who you believe yourself to be. It is not evil or inherently bad, but it is unfamiliar. This is the shadow self, a concept introduced by Carl Jung. It contains all that you repress, avoid, or deny, the fragments of yourself you do not want to see or accept. Jung believed that by embracing our shadow, we come closer to achieving individuation, the process by which we integrate all parts of ourselves into a cohesive whole. Rather than remain fragmented, we must confront the darkness within, slowly bringing light to the corners of our psyche that have long been neglected. The shadow, then, is not the enemy, but a guide to wholeness. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can we become who we truly are if we keep running from the parts of ourselves that frighten us? The shadow self, much like a treasure buried deep underground, demands we dig through layers of denial and avoidance to uncover it. When we face it, we may feel vulnerable, even fearful, but in that moment of confrontation lies the power of transformation. The shadow holds wisdom, an untapped reservoir that, when integrated, empowers us to live more fully, authentically, and with greater compassion. It is not about getting rid of the darkness, but about using it to illuminate our path forward. In Taoism, there is a paradoxical belief that light cannot exist without dark. This is the essence of the Taoist symbol of yin and yang, two opposing forces that are deeply intertwined. Imagine a river that flows in two directions. One side is light and the other dark. Without the shadow, the light would have no definition. It is the contrast between these forces that creates balance. The Taoist understanding of the shadow mirrors Jung's concept. By embracing the darkness within, we achieve harmony and balance in our lives. In Buddhism, the journey toward enlightenment also requires us to embrace the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we often consider negative. Through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection, Buddhists confront their attachments, desires, and suffering. Known as dukkha, suffering is an inherent aspect of the human experience, but rather than viewing it as something to avoid, it becomes an opportunity for personal and spiritual growth. By accepting our suffering, we come to understand that the shadow within us is not something to be eradicated, but a crucial step toward liberation. It is through facing this darkness that we allow the light of wisdom and compassion to enter, guiding us on the path to true freedom. How can you transcend your suffering if you refuse to acknowledge the wounds that create it? Could it be that in facing the dark side of yourself, you unlock the wisdom needed for healing? The ancient Hermetic tradition teaches us that spiritual growth involves alchemy, the process of turning base metals into gold. This idea is a metaphor for transforming the darkness within ourselves into wisdom and light. Just as alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, so too must we transmute our hidden fears and suppressed desires into greater self-awareness and understanding. This process requires us to confront the shadow, not to suppress it. The Hermetic principle, as above, so below, reminds us that our inner world mirrors the outer world. If we seek to transform the world around us, we must first transform ourselves. The shadow is the raw material for this transformation. When we face our darkness, we refine ourselves, just as a sculptor chisels away at a block of marble to reveal the statue within. By doing so, we gain clarity and insight, stepping closer to our divine nature. The Gnostic tradition, emerging from ancient Christian and mystical teachings, presents another profound perspective on the shadow. The Gnostics believed that true knowledge, gnosis, was attained not through external means, but by diving deep into the darkness of the self. They saw the material world as an illusion, a place of shadows and ignorance. To find the truth, one had to confront and transcend the darkness, shedding the illusions that veil the light within. What illusions have you been holding on to in your own life? Could it be that by confronting them, you would reveal a deeper, more authentic truth? The Gnostic myth of Sophia, the divine wisdom, illustrates this journey. Sophia descends into the lower realms, facing the darkness and ignorance. And through this process of descent, she uncovers the hidden wisdom that leads to spiritual awakening. Like Sophia, we must descend into our own darkness to retrieve the knowledge that lies within. The shadow, in this sense, is not an obstacle to enlightenment but a necessary step in the process of self-realization. What would happen if you allowed yourself to move beyond the fear and into the wisdom that awaits? The shadow is not a mere psychological construct. It is the key to spiritual growth and awakening. It is through the confrontation with our darkest fears, desires, and hidden aspects that we begin to uncover the fullness of our being. Much like a treasure hidden beneath layers of earth, the wisdom of the shadow can only be revealed when we dare to dig through the surface and confront the buried parts of ourselves. As we embark on this journey of self-exploration, remember that the shadow is not something to be feared, but something to be understood and integrated. It is through this process of integration that we become whole. By confronting the darkness within, we illuminate the path toward greater self-awareness, deeper compassion, and spiritual enlightenment. The path to spiritual growth is a journey into the heart of darkness. The shadow is not your enemy, but a guide to a deeper understanding of who you are. By confronting the hidden parts of yourself, you transform them, turning base metals into gold, suffering into wisdom, fear into freedom. The teachings of Jung, Taoism, Buddhism, Hermeticism and Gnosticism all point to the same truth. The shadow is not something to avoid, but something to embrace. As you step into your own shadow, remember this: the light cannot exist without the dark. Through facing your fears and integrating your darkness, you will find the treasure that lies within. The shadow holds the key to your spiritual growth, and through it, you will uncover the wisdom and strength that await. Dare to embrace your dark side, because it is through this journey that you will discover your true, radiant self.